Hey, everybody. It is the Junk You Should Know show. It's Friday at noon, which was where we always are. So please make sure you're tuning in here every week. This week, I am so excited. I have Heidi Roberts, who is a doctor of physical therapy, actually, PT, DPT. And she is coming to us from not Bend.
Hood River.
Hood River. I knew it was somewhere absolutely stunning and great for water and mountain sports and all that, which Bend is as well. And so I'm so excited to welcome her. We are going to be talking about sitting disease, which on the outset might go, what is there to know about that? But wait until you hear, because I am so excited. We've got some great content to talk about. But first, I want to talk about our sponsor, of course, is the Change Cave. And the Change Cave is an online 12-module course that gears women toward a higher level of wellness. We talk about fitness, nutrition, stress management, hydration. We cover all sorts of subjects. We do weekly mindset classes. We do newscasts every week. The most important thing, though, is that we have an incredibly tight-knit group of Facebook group wellness warriors, and it's an amazing program. It's just $23.99 a month, and you can cancel at any time. It's kind of a no-brainer. If you're tired of doing this wellness thing on your own, it's a great opportunity to get collaboration, resources, accountability, and I encourage you. I'll put the link below. Check it out and come join us. I would love that. So back to the junk show. I met Dr. Heidi at a recent live event we were both at, and it was love at first sight for me, because she is a physical therapist who had a brick and mortar. She left her practice, as I did, as a chiropractor, so we have had similar paths going into the online space. And Dr. Heidi's niche is that she is all about understanding the concepts around what sitting does to our body, the unbelievable damage it can cause that most people don't even know about, and then the practical tips to turn that disaster around. So tell me a little bit about your schooling background, because I know you have something called an APTA as well, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Heather. Well, so I have my undergraduate degree was in business and technology. So I kind of feel like I'm coming back full circle using technology and finding other ways to connect with people. And then I ended up retooling in physical therapy and got my doctorate of physical therapy from Loma Linda University. And that was in 2007 that I graduated. And now I'm pulling together all the skills and knowledge and experience that I've had over the last 10 to 15 years. And it's been really fun. It's really creative. It's really so fulfilling. Great. And like you, it's getting that message out to more people. And so how do we do that?
Yeah.
Utilize the interwebs, utilize social media. Here we are, right? And connecting with people.
And yeah, totally. And I just brought up your website, which is motiontherapy.net, correct?
That's right.
Yep. And I love her website. It's got all sorts of great tools on there. And the lovely thing about Heidi is that she does in-person presentations to corporate groups. She does one-on-one coaching to athletes, to stressed out people who are sitting all day, kind of a wide variety. And she also does some online stuff as well. So can you tell me a little bit about kind of motion therapy right now and what's happening with what you're doing?
Sure. So what I'm doing currently is working with small to medium, some large size organizations in bringing my simple half day and full day workshop series where, Heather, it's what you and I know is when you're real time in someone's real day-to-day life, you have a deep appreciation for where they're at and meeting them where they're at and finding ways to make it immediately tangible what they're learning, right? And I use the 3 E's, right? Is if we get to really smart, driven people's brains and we educate them, and then teach them how to embody what they're learning. Nice. And then go one step further by empowering them. So we educate, we embody, and we empower them with the tools, techniques, and strategies to take what they're learning, implement it right away, and essentially be more effective and efficient than having to leave their real environment, like where we work, where we play, where we live. So
that's great. And I love the idea. I've done some in-person corporate stuff myself, and the impact is so much greater when you get up front and you present, and then you, like you say, you leave them with strategies that they can implement. It's so much better than signing, as a manager, signing them up for an online course or whatever. Bringing that expert in like yourself to go through these half day or full day seminars is absolutely incredible. So I think what a great opportunity. And for any viewer who owns a mid-size company, small to mid-size company where Dr. Heidi can work with, groups of folks, don't hesitate to connect with her and just listen to what she has to offer, because I've heard about her program and it's just so fabulous. So thank you so much for sharing that with the world. It's great.
Thank you, Heather, and thanks for being on the journey with me, right? We're always figuring it out and reiterating. And I think the biggest thing that's been like a driving force, one of the things you and I talked about before, was living daily in alignment with our values, right? As individuals, as practitioners, as what we're doing in the world. And I'd say one of the biggest things was that commitment, whether it's from our clients or organizations or decision makers. I've got to model that myself, right? And so my commitment to freedom and lifelong learning and health and wellness meant, finding a way to make that happen in my own life. And part of that has been this transition and integration of both working with people real time and through online mediums. Because we both know that in one session with your healthcare provider or one session at the gym or one training, that's not what solves the problem and changes the behavior. It's that ongoing structure and accountability and training, as I know your services and some of the groups that you're offering are so important. So I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, because totally. I think go ahead.
Oh, you first.
I was just going to say, I like how you talked about, because what I just said might have been a bit misleading. I think the in-person presentation is really important, but when you have strategic materials that are going to drip after that and support what you've done in person instead of just kind of like present and leave, that's what's the beauty of your program, is that you have them both in such a beautifully intertwined way. And I think that's the ticket and that's what will be successful. So let me ask you a question, because I get asked this question sometimes when I'm offering to speak wellness in corporate. Why do managers, why do they want to spend the dollars to bring someone like you in?
Oh man. So recently, I think the stats are, I think employers are spending $228.5 billion on injury and worker illness. If there's any infrastructure or organizations that, want to keep the money in their business instead of pay it out, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I took a bunch of dollar bills, right? And I said, here's the amount you're spending per employee, $1,685 annually per employee. Do you want to keep it in your business to keep innovating and growing and doing great things in the world? Or do you want to spend it on healthcare?
Yeah.
And I think that visual, like, I've got my skeleton behind me, like bringing in objects and having visuals and getting people to like really feel something, like feel the impact of spending that money versus keeping it. And I feel like if we can talk to those decision makers and those middle managers that truly care about, the happiness and the culture and the fun and the engagement of their employees, then they are modeling that same behavior for their teams. And so I think that's such a driving force to go to the organizations, because that's where 86% of Americans are sitting for 13 hours a day. 13 hours a day.
It's crazy. It's the singular biggest issue I think that we're dealing with right now. And if someone like yourself can come in and address it and give practical tools, it's incredible. And I love that the visual of the $1,000, because a lot of folks do not realize that that's what they're putting away and throwing away every year. So that is such great info. It's awesome. So I titled this "Sitting is the New Smoking" because I can remember in practice about 15 years ago, a patient who worked at REI came in and he said, well, sitting is the new smoking. And I'd never heard it before. And I thought it was hysterical at the time, but now it's cliche. But people are like, oh, that's silly. It's not as bad as smoking. So tell me some of the findings about long-term sitting and the detriments that it has on our body.
Absolutely. So I am not necessarily a researcher, but if people want the research and to dig through all the evidence-based best practices, all of that, I highly recommend James Levine and Mark Hamilton's work and this book, Get Up, Why Your Chair is Killing You and What You Can Do About It.
Oh, I like that.
I like applying the science behind the research and getting people real-time results. I feel good when my clients win. So I'm about, let's make it experiential, let's make it practical. But the science and some of the bigger things are, first of all, what happens? We both know about the musculoskeletal issues, chronic pain, problems from head to toe.
Yeah.
Beyond that, when we look at the chronic diseases plaguing society today, so diabetes, obesity, heart disease, several types of cancer, obviously chronic pain, we have to take a step back and look at, okay, here's the little things that happen that are really important for people to grasp. And that is when you sit in front of a computer all day long, it's like your car is like an idle engine and your metabolic rates drop to that of a person in a coma. Right?
Wow.
You're just sitting like a lump on a log. You and I know, let's make it more digestible. So we know about for someone with well-controlled cholesterol, well, when we sit all day long, our triglycerides spike and creep up and higher, and that affects the flow of the blood in our heart. So we have cardiovascular disease. Our insulin, our natural insulin is less effective. So then we have higher blood sugar and that makes it thick and clogged and like, an oil slick. It's a mess. So it's hard to circulate blood. So we get brain fog, we get swelling in our legs. We get all jammed up because we're sitting hunched over and gravity's winning as the day goes on. So whether it's our blood sugar, our triglycerides, the function of all of our organs, not even to mention, Heather, what you and I have worked on for so many years is the neck, the back, the shoulder pain, the low back pain, like of all things, like that was always, for me, like a deep desire to want to effectively and efficiently help the person in front of me. And oftentimes when the physical body isn't working, we know that affects your brain. We know that affects the spirit and the soul. And so you get that horrible cycle and vicious cycle of depressed. I mean, not moving as much, sitting more, binge eating, watching Netflix. We've all been there. I mean, I've recently had a shoulder injury and it was good for me to be the patient, right? Yeah. Got to be a good patient to be a good doctor, good student to be a good teacher, good follower to be a good leader, break the rules, know the rules. Like there's so many things that, I mean, I'm not exempt from them and either of you, I'm sure we both had our share of injuries. But that's where I like to encourage people, learn from our, pitfalls and roadblocks and do a little bit of maintenance because it goes such a long way in the whole scheme of things or not. Yeah. And like a mentor said, do you want to learn what it feels like to get hit by the car or do you want to look both ways?
I like that. I like that you touched on because I love a book called Sitting Kills by Varicose, NASA scientist, and sort of some similar stuff. I think the book was written long before this one, so they probably have all the latest research that you showed. But I like how she likened how she got into the study of it because she studied NASA astronauts coming back from space and their health issues, which were diabetes, spinal issues, insulin issues, heart disease, certain cancers. And she's like, wait a second. These are all the same as this other population of people who sit all day because they're in a gravity situation, right? And so people are so shocked, and that's why I want to repeat it. When you say diabetes, heart disease, cancers can come from, it can be exacerbated or make you more predisposed to from extended periods of sitting, it is absolutely bulletproof true in the science and unarguable. So I think it's really important people know that. So thank you for sharing that. And then of course the musculoskeletal stuff they get because that's what they really feel initially, don't they?
Oh, totally. And that was the piece about, I mean, when you say this is well researched and documented, it's not, it's not going anywhere. Like the most common imbalances that I found I was correcting with people that I worked with one-on-one or into groups is they would say it. It's like, I've always had bad posture. I'm really bad at my posture. Like that's other people's words on the same things that we've been treating. And part of that is sitting in a sedentary lifestyle, right? And I think like the scientific community has coined that term to describe the ill effects of an overly sedentary lifestyle and metabolic syndrome. So it's like we're working day to day real time with people, but there's these bigger health issues and crises going on that it's not when it's, like it's going to happen. So what can we do now proactively and preventatively?
Hey,
and
I just want to
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I want to say shout out to Dr. Danielle. I just saw she joined us. Hello, Danielle. I think that's so true. And you mentioned metabolic syndrome, and you've only just connected for me the fact that metabolic syndrome is only a recent diagnosis, and how much it has to do with the fact that we're sedentary. You're absolutely right. I hadn't really made that direct connection before, and that's a powerful one to make. So, and it's empowering, because it's like, if it's sitting that is playing such a role, then I know you have very practical tips for us to change that. So can you tell me just what are some basics for people who are stuck in a chair? What do they do?
I love that question, because like you, I'm super practical, and what can you do real time, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to say is, I know we both talked about this. We're at a standing workstation.
We are.
I like to help people find ways to integrate their maintenance into their day, because we're busy, ambitious, driven people, self-directed, go, go, go. Well, what can I do while I work that's actually helping me think better, feel better, produce better? And so whether it's a sit-stand workstation, I have my desktop riser right here. I have my pivot active leaning seat.
Great.
I've designed a workstation that keeps me in motion. I sit, I lean, I perch, I twist, I shift. Could we consider, what one thing could we do to create more motion in the things we naturally do day to day?
I love it.
And that's one thing I like to pose for people, is let them think about what would fit into their lifestyle. I don't know. There's not one way. There's not one formula.
Yeah.
So what works for you?
And then it's sustainable, right? Like if they choose it, then they're more likely to sustain it. And I also just want to mention, because we haven't touched on this, we are built as perpetual motion machines. It's how we're designed, and it's how our brains are designed to work. Like a crank flashlight, if you don't spin it, it doesn't light up. And that's the same in our bodies. And so I think that point as well is like, I did a presentation called "Sitting Makes You Stupid," and it's cliche. It's not cliche. It's a little fun, but I think that's such a great point that you just made, is if you can put more motion in your day, then you're going to think better, focus better, not be as fatigued by the end of the day, right?
Absolutely. Yep. And that's where people talk about that midday 2 to 3 o'clock crash. I mean, what's been really fun is to have other people start with the simplest thing as, a lot of people, I start with wanting to buy the shiny new thing. So that's the standing desk and all of these other various manufacturers of all sorts of standing desks. I like to say, think about what could be more cost effective, and it's going to help you be in your optimal alignment. So the biggest pitfall people make is they bring their body to their workstation rather than their workstation to them, right?
Oh, interesting.
So getting all the body stacked properly in proper alignment, and thinking about your foundation. So your anti-fatigue mat when you're standing, your sit bones when we're sitting or leaning or perching, is one of the biggest mistakes people make. And I always have to go back, is that bringing things to you. It's like if you ride a bike, you get your bike fit to you.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a very, very practical point.
Totally right. So how many endurance athletes have we worked with, and cyclists and mountain bikers where they do the opposite? And then over time, they create their own repetitive stress injuries.
Yes, very, very good point. So that brings up a question. I'm a big fan of the sitting disc. Of course, in the late 80s, early 90s, everybody was rehab ball. So what are your recommendations right now if you're going to continue to have a portion of your day where you're sitting? What are you sitting people on? Right.
So it's kind of like a pair of shoes, Heather. I tell people there's not one size fits all.
Okay,
so
good.
Just starting with your exercise ball, and this is my suggestions, is anything that creates more motion. So if you have an exercise or yoga ball that's collecting dust, then go pull it out, blow it up, and play with it, and move around and see how that feels for you, your back, your neck, your spine. Give it an hour or two.
Yeah.
If people are looking, and that's not a costly investment. If people are looking to make more of an investment, then I say really go to a showroom or go somewhere where you can try out the plethora of active seats. And by active, I'm saying I have ones that I like that I'll recommend, and on my website that I know you have linked up, I have a resources page, and they're right there. Active Station. I have my personal preference, but I don't want to leave people with that's not the only way.
Yeah.
Whether it's, I'm a big fan of the leaning active seats, and by that I mean finding a seat that's super adjustable. So you can stand, you can lean, you can sit. I don't not sit. We all are going to have to sit at some point in our life. So adjustments are important. I think if
Okay.
there's anything, when people say they buy a fixed something, I feel like that's where we run into some more roadblocks on down the
Yeah.
road, because just like everything else, we're shifting and changing, and
Yeah.
it's not about standing all day long. It's
No.
not about, I like to say the best posture is your next posture.
You have got some gems. I'm going to have to re-listen to this and jot some of these down. They're amazing. So thank you for that. I got a whole criteria of new wing dingers that are going to be just fantastic. So thank you for that. So as far as practicality, movable chairs, active chairs, look at the resources page on motiontherapy.net. Get some ideas there. Go to a showroom, ask the salespeople about active chairs and what those look like, but start with a big ball. I love the sitting disc, which is $16 on Amazon. It's an air-filled disc. You just throw it on your chair. It at least throws some activeness into your body. And so it's about getting active. Your best posture is your next posture, which means constantly thinking about how do I move or change the position I'm in. And then thirdly, bring your office to you, not you to somehow fitting into this desk that's fixed and not movable. And that might be my favorite, because that is definitely something I haven't thought of specifically before. And that's really, really great stuff. So let me see, I think, oh, we covered some great ground already. That's awesome. Okay, here's a question. This is more about you. If somebody is a mid-sized business, what is it that, like, if I call you and say, yeah, I like what you're doing, what would you do? What do you do exactly when you come in?
Sure. So currently I'm bringing my half day and full day workshops on site, and depending on the size, so for like 15 to 20 middle managers where I'm training, that ends up being like depending on the size, and I customize to what that facility looks like, right?
Yeah.
Many of the companies already have standing desks. And so I say, well, what's holding you back from getting the results?
Yeah.
And so many times people, I'll ask the question, do you have tools to sustain the gains we make, right? So if even one-on-one or with groups, I'll ask, do you have any tools that you use regularly? Whether that's a standing desk or one of the 5 tools in the tool guide that we're going to offer the viewers. Is if they have it, they often say, yeah, but I'm not using it, right? It's that human behavior and change factor that takes that time.
It takes
and I
time.
say the 3 C's: commitment, convenience, and consistency.
Yeah.
I work with people who are committed to their optimal performance, right? Not just pain relief and injury prevention, but optimizing their performance. Then we need to make it convenient so that they can be consistent with their own self-care and their maintenance. So when it comes down to those things, that's why it's not, again, it's one of those things where I try to adapt to what's already there so that there isn't a significant investment outlay, but really go and show people how to make more of what they have. I'm not working one-on-one with clients in their home as I used to, but we used to just go into the kitchen, right? I don't know how many times I've said, let's go get your rolling pin. Your rolling pin will work just like a foam roller in this stick, and let's roll out those knots that are complicating and mimicking other pains in your body. So people tend to have the tools, they just don't know how to use them, or they need reminders, right? We all need reminders.
So I like that. That's great. And so what can you alluded to it, but can you mention what is it that readers can get from you today? Because I know you've got a cool thing.
Right. Yes. The free tools guide. So if people go to motiontherapy.net, right there's 5 tools that are portable, practical, and effective. And what I mean by that is that most people have one of these tools or could improvise, but every time I did a manual technique, or anytime I worked with people to show them a technique or a stretch or something to help them address their pain and get immediate relief, we would find a tool or a strategy for them to simulate and replicate and sustain those gains, right? So essentially, they don't need me to do it for them. They can do it for themselves.
That's great.
By no means am I saying not going to your chiropractor and your healthcare provider, your massage therapist. We all need tune-ups and maintenance. But what if you could, keep that much more of the gains you made in between sessions and get more out of your next session, right?
I love it. That's awesome. Thank you. So we go to motiontherapy.net, and at the very bottom, there's a link that they just drop their email in, and then you send that to their inbox, correct?
That's right.
Okay, that's great. Well, good. Well, Heidi, this has been so much fun. Like, this is fantastic. We covered some great ground. We got some practical stuff, and people are certainly going to go away understanding that sitting isn't just about back pain. It's got a whole host of issues ending with metabolic conditions. And so I love that you're a clear communicator, super helpful. And I'm sure the viewers who are watching the replay will love this. And for those of you that watch live, thank you so much. I am honored and so pleased that you joined us today. So Heidi, stay on for a bit. We'll have a chat after, but we will say goodbye to our viewers, and we will chat next time. Goodbye.